Hello, everyone, and welcome back to D5.5, the live version, I guess, of us talking about Black Ink and Blue Blood, the characters, the episodes, and all that it entails. We will be skipping 2 episodes on request of our Goblinic Bard, because it is very important to her. She is unavailable at the time, so we will dive straight into episodes 20 through 22 today, which are Cornered, Summer's End, and An Ocean Away. So in the 20th episode, we are captured by the Scar Concord. The Tabaja boys run away to go to their family, and their family tries to convince Bill Zephyr and Caleb to run away with them. And, we finally get to meet face to face all of the leaders of the Scar Concord, which, we kind of already had the names of everybody, via Lucifer, but it was kind of like, it kind of became real in that moment. Like, they're all here, they're in our face. Barbarous wants us dead for, me almost drowning him, and, all that fun stuff. And then, Kaloum, sends Lucifer to go get the Tabaja boys and co. So let's talk about that for a minute. Jeremy, how did you feel when we were pretty much up against a corner and surrounded by the world's leaders?
Well, to be honest, I wasn't trying to kill him. But we also knew that we were outmatched. And he was trying to keep Lucian from getting shot in the head by his dad.
I feel like Lucian was trying to call his bluff because
Lucian was trying to die.
Well, that too. But the thing is that she kind of knew, I guess, that not Barbarous, but General Gyogur wouldn't do it. Although Kaloum did egg him on, and Lucian was like, "Oh, really? Is that really how it's gonna happen? Because I don't think it is."
I would have been fine. I would have been fine with that kind of ending. She taunted him.
I know you don't like Lucian. Come on.
Well, not even just like Lucian, but just the idea, just like you're taunting the enemy. What do you expect him to do?
I think that was her point. She's like, you don't have the balls to do it. You're not going to do it because you need us for whatever reason. That was her point. Was, yeah, you're pointing that gun in my face, but you ain't going to use it.
Well, it begs the question of what are they using? What do they need this for again?
Yeah, well, that is the question. What is it that they need us for? I mean, Lucifer has been completely evasive about that. Like, anytime Lucian asks him, what are we here for? He completely evades the question. Or doesn't answer at all.
My theory? We're scapegoats. They're going to try to pin it all on us.
How so?
Well, who people going to believe? A band of misfits? Or the leaders of all major companies?
Okay, first of all, who you calling a misfit?
One of the misfits in our group?
Lucian doesn't see herself as a misfit, so that's not gonna fly with her.
Whether it flies or not.
I mean, sure, we could be scapegoats, but what other possibilities? What do you think, Ross?
I mean, there could be. The thing is, there could be a numerous of things. Like we have something in our blood. Maybe we're test subjects. And we're still being test subject, most likely. Or numerous of things you can easily say or whatever. But it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I had been considering as well. Because at this point, we knew that almost all of us, sans Caro, that we know of so far.
And Neon.
And Neon. Well, Neon isn't in this episode, so, as far as we knew, everybody in the party, sans Caro, had something to do with this black ink stuff that is inside of us, and we all knew that, something or another had happened to all of us for this to have happened, So maybe you're right. Maybe we are just a part of a large experiment, because Dr. Knight herself, was like, yeah, rough them up, but I'm going to want to keep on, seeing what makes them tick. So maybe there is something that's special about us, because, like, up until now, we have met many, 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 like, Ichor beasts.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, later on we find more intelligent ones, but in up until this particular episode, we don't really see intelligence in Ichor beasts, except for, like with Lorcan, and how he, changes throughout those episodes. I won't spoiler it too much. You guys can always come back to this episode when we do finally talk about Lorcan and all of that mess. But I think it's interesting how we are pretty much the most quote-unquote intelligent of these quote-unquote Ichor beasts.
That we know of.
So, I'm building on that possibility right there. I do have some interesting points to bring up about this episode. I don't remember if it was 20 or 21 of the episode that Lucifer does finally catch up to the Tebedra boys and, is like, oh yeah, you're coming with me. And Zephyr makes a very interesting decision. You want to tell us about it?
I mean, what is there to tell? Zephyr just decided to walk himself.
Right, but I find it interesting that a character that has betrayed the party, twice. No, listen, I'm coming up with a point here. Betrayed the party twice. Makes the decision to turn himself in when there's really nothing for him to gain.
Well, first off, what do you mean twice? I think when they betrayed again.
He only betrayed us once.
I know, but Lucian is like, well, there was the actual betrayal, and then there's like the unsaid betrayal.
Unsaid betrayal.
Okay, for Lucian, this is like her way of thinking of it is like, yeah, he betrayed us by not telling us the plan or the assumed plan.
So I betrayed you by not telling you I'm gonna betray you.
Or he could have just told us to, be like, hey, my dad is planning on, giving you guys to Barbarous. That could have.
No.
But I think he suspected.
No.
I think he suspected because Zephyr is always like one step ahead of us because he's very clever, despite what he wants people to think.
I mean, I didn't know about Barbers. I mean, well, Zephyr didn't know about Barbers at the time, I will say, but I mean, he knew he was betraying y'all. He was totally fine with that.
Yeah, and that's the betrayal right there, is that he was 100% okay with what was happening. And that's what the problem is to Lucian. However, that's not this episode. What I want to know is what made Zephyr decide I'm going to go to the party when there's really, was there something for him to gain?
Well, I was also going to say, he didn't turn himself in. He made a choice on who he was going to side against. The enemy where he could live, or the ones that he knew were right and possibly die.
Well, still, the decision still stands. He made that interesting decision to not go with his family, but to go with these almost complete strangers who, A, some of them don't like Zephyr, and B, you know, they are always fighting, always having some kind of beef with each other.
You mean Lucian and Zephyr are always having.
Like, there's some of us. I mean, one of them.
There's some of us,
one of
Lucian. I will admit that she is a very cantankerous person. However, the point still stands is that he, to my knowledge, didn't really have anything to gain. So I actually kind of thought that was very interesting for him to do.
Well, to your knowledge, you saw nothing to gain, but to Zephyr's knowledge, you did.
Okay, I guess we'll leave it at that. Mysteries all over. So, about the Concord, when we were kind of like lined up, they were like, basically, give us your gear, and you hid your ring under your foot, and Raccoon hid her penny whistle in her mouth. And I found it very interesting. You know, first they had Aragos look us over, which I found interesting. And then they had Lucifer, who we all know has that, you know, special eye to look us over. Why do you think? Well, we obviously know why Lucifer, because he can see, you know, everything. But why Arago? Do you think she has a power that we don't know?
I mean, wasn't Arago the greedy boy or person?
No, she was the one. Okay, when we were kind of like lining up, and she was like being petted by Wyborn, and you know, Wyborn was like, "Darling, won't you go and you know do your thing?" And so she came to us and looked us over.
Slaves. That's my theory. See who's strongest, who's worth the most.
Maybe she has like really good insight. It's hard to really know. I mean, we don't know what kind of stuff she has under her belt. Like, what is she magical? I mean, she's a drow, so I mean, maybe she's magical.
I mean, you'll find out.
As they say, drow wise, I wouldn't think too much. I mean, there's not much to drow that.
Wow.
Honest, their eyesights are actually, wouldn't their eyesight be worse than?
Yeah, and that's my point. Why send a drow of all people? I mean, yeah, they had Lucifer as, you know, plan B, but why was plan A for a drow of all people to look us over?
Well, we were in a dark room.
It wasn't that dark. It was like lit up green
shade.
because of the chandelier.
It had light, but it wasn't like full light. It was like a dusk.
Like a dim light.
I don't know.
So it wouldn't have affected her son.
It's something that I had been reviewing that episode, and it just something about it doesn't sit right with me, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know, just something about it doesn't sit right with me. I'm like, why though? And we don't talk about, most of these villains. Like, yeah, we talk about Lucifer a lot because, like, Lucian has a very intimate, like, connection with Lucifer and is almost always talking to Lucifer. But there's these other villains that, we barely even think about. Like, for example, Kaloon. Or, what about Dr. Knight?
Cologne, what do you think about?
Yeah, well, ever since recent episodes, yes, but before the specific episodes, not really.
I mean,
Before that, we didn't know that he was with them.
yeah, they didn't know about most of them. We only knew about them for what, an episode or two.
Yeah, well, that was the whole thing. Is like Lucian got the list of the names from Lucifer, and she told everybody who was on the list. And we didn't even get to digest it before we were literally in the same room with all of them.
Yeah,
Lucian.
Lucian.
Well,
Yeah.
that's for another episode. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. I am saying yes,
Actually,
100% correct.
technically, it's not another episode.
But talking about but she.
No, I'm talking about the thing with Lorcan.
Yeah,
that's we're saving that with Raccoon.
The part where Raccoon's involved, which is the whole thing we're waiting.
It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing, and I'm not saying that you're wrong because you're not. You're 100% right that Lucian shouldn't have taken things into her own hands. But
pulled a Gil there.
And also, I was gonna say, Gil's at fault too. He brought the Geogrid guards, which captured us in the first place.
Well, we were fighting a literal monster.
I mean, they would have saw us anyway. We would. Yeah, y'all fought gigantic. There's had to be noise being chaotic noise being made in front. It would have been like, oh, what's going on in here? Sees gigantic.
We had the Gyogran army was already, banging down doors and, taking in quote unquote suspicious people, people who didn't line up with the, elves, people like orcs and goblins and, not elves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
elves think they're superior.
They do. Why do you think Lucian is the way she is?
Well,
she literally thinks she's better than everybody because that's how she was raised. But that's not for this episode. I mean, I will gladly sit here and tell you about, whatever you want to know, with her issues. But what I was interested in the next episode in 21 when you and Caleb were betrayed by your father.
Yeah.
That I found very interesting. Though, I mean, Lucian wasn't 100% surprised, but she saw how much it affected Caleb. But she was more, I guess, I don't know the word for it, but taken aback how it didn't surprise Zephyr.
Well, think about it. This guy is his dad is a complete coward.
Yes.
He will sacrifice anything and anyone for his own skin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the only one. I probably think the only people who wouldn't sacrifice would be either maybe his wife and his kids.
I don't think Summer would. sacrifice everybody else for her son.
No,
I'm saying
He
won't
was saying-
sacrifice him. He won't sacrifice his living blood and wife.
Oh, okay.
I think that's
Okay,
might
so
be a
you're
limit.
saying, like,
It's just the fact that we're not exactly his biological kids. We're just kids he picked up, trained.
so you're saying you think if something were to threaten Mrs. DeBedra or, say, Summer, he would fight tooth and nail for that.
I definitely think he'd put more. I don't know his limit on that. I don't know his, but I definitely think he would put more of a fight than obviously he put for Caleb and I.
Mhm.
But I mean, as we kind of already seen, like way off in the earlier episodes, like if like he's willing to back down for even like he's done it with 2 Zephyr already. So I was like, not surprised.
You think that's why? And I mean, I know that Lucian doesn't know, but we as an audience knows about Zephyr's diligence to get to his biological father. Do you think that his diligence is due because of how he was raised by Mr. Tavadra?
Possibly. I mean, it just I think yeah. I mean, Tavadra definitely have influenced how he thinks. Like, oh, you know, your own skin is more important than the person next to you.
weird.
But I don't think that's necessarily true for Zephyr, because of the few things that I had noticed as one, as Lucian, and as a player. Because I see Zephyr going to great lengths for Caleb. Like, identifying things for him, doing things for him, you know.
Well, I will say in what I guess in somewhat defense there, but like doing things for him and like just like identifying since I can, is a lot different than like possibly sacrificing my life.
Yeah,
But that's not true, because Zephyr, in the past, I don't know, few episodes when we did have a fight, did put himself in the crossfire for not just Caleb, but for the rest of the party as well. That's something that especially Lucian has noticed, that he has been putting himself in the crossfire. And, you know, yeah, she assumes that Zephyr has some sort of, you know, ulterior motive, and of course she doesn't trust Zephyr, as, you know, one should. And but she's also noticing that maybe he's not as callous as he wants everybody to think.
That is an interesting theory. Very, very interesting.
You know, and as we pointed out before, you know, Lucian's biggest problem with Zephyr is just like Lucifer in many ways. So, you know, a lot of her, you know, distaste for Zephyr is off of her self-deflecting her feelings for her brother, deflecting them onto Zephyr. You know, yeah, we wish that Lucian would recognize this deflecting, but I don't think she ever will, because she doesn't recognize that, because she, in her mind, is like, I love my brother. I will do anything for my brother.
Yeah.
Fuck Zephyr, you know?
And that's where the I guess in later episodes the pact comes in.
Yeah. We'll talk about that pact as soon as it comes, but I have a lot to... Yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot.
great episode.
So in Summer's End, your dad, Mr. Cabedra, and Summer and the rest of the family gets to meet the lady.
What?
Yeah, because if you remember, after he betrayed you and Caleb, I keep saying Caleb in Lucian's accent. I'm so sorry. After he betrays you and Caleb, Kaloum says, "Well, I think Tebedra has earned his reward, and they get to move up in the world," or something like along those lines, and they are escorted out, and it is heavily maybe implied, maybe even said somewhere along the lines of time to meet the lady, or something about the lady is implied in that moment. And something, because it caught Lucian's attention, was maybe that's why he betrayed you guys, was because he wanted to move up in the ranks. That's the whole reason why he wanted us to go to Mercurial in the first place, and to find things out for him, because he didn't like being on, the short end of the, pecking order.
Mm-hmm.
So I find it interesting that he was able to, quote unquote, move up in their rank. Who knows what that means? But also, who knows what that means for Summer? Because Summer was there too. So my next question is, because we know what Summer can do with her own, let's say, experience in, poisons and, chemistry. Well, not alchemy, but chemistry. Could it be possible that Summer eventually working with Dr. Knight because of her talent? What do you think?
I'm trying to think of my own sister.
Well, I hope not. But she also did get the vial of blood from Gil, so she could experiment with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tweak it.
So,
make it better.
yeah. It could go either way.
What do you think, Austin?
I mean, it's definitely hard to say. I mean, I'm not saying I would put it past her, but at the same time, I don't. It just doesn't seem like something that she would be interested in.
What if she didn't have a choice?
I mean, she had a choice, and she was
Well,
forced to. Then, I mean, she might do it out of like being forced to, but
obligation?
out of her own life's sake.
Well, not just her life's sake, but what about her father
Or mom.
or mom?
Possibly.
Because the last thing we heard was that your dad was like sickly, and that a lot was happening in Tebedra because of that.
Yeah.
So my question is that because of the involvement that he has with the Scar Concord? Or does it have to do with maybe something along the lines of the same thing happening with Mr. Tebedra that happened to Lorcan? Or alternatively, somebody is making him sick. Or maybe, again, on another hand, he's just old and needs to die.
Like, I mean, yeah, it could be like
It could be
all the
anything.
above. Could be all
It
the
could
above.
be anything.
Yeah, we haven't really.
That he's alive.
Let's talk about the silo. After we are captured by the Scar Concord, Lucifer takes us up into their trap that they have laid for us, into the big silo. with no weapons that, he knows of. And nothing but our clothes on our back. And a lot happens in that silo.
Yeah.
Gil makes a choice.
Gil does make a choice, and Lucian has, kind of like a little breakdown, realizing that this whole thing is her fault. Raccoon not wanting to, like, look at her, talk to her, or even, like, think about her, that kind of, like, hurt her a lot, and I really liked how, in that moment, we just kind of really started acting like a team. Because, like, I don't remember who said it, but somebody was like, everybody played a part of the escape from the silo.
Probably not.
Like, well, the escape in itself, everybody had a part to play in it. And, if it weren't for, if one of us weren't there, who knows how successful this escape would have been.
If Gil wasn't there, y'all would have screwed.
Yeah.
I mean, possibly.
Well, nobody else could reach us out.
Well, nobody else could have, like, ripped open the fucking door. I mean, Lucian was like, she braided her hair into the symbol because Gil had that very surprising good idea about making the symbol with hair, which you kind of, you revealed to me that you were saying, oh, Gil was going to offer his hair, but Lucian was like, no, what about my hair?
It definitely is weird.
Once again.
What do you mean?
I mean, just the whole idea, just like, I braid my hair now, I have a magical symbol.
Well, DM...
I know, the elven hair is magical. I could definitely see in the future that either one or probably Lucian's hair is going to be cut in the future.
I kind of feel like that's going to happen too, because one, her hair is one of her pride features. She fucking loves her hair, and two, Lucifer's hair is short. And this was kind of like when Lucifer was introduced to us, he was like, just in his underwear, and the main thing that caught my attention that he had said that his hair was short. And I feel like he kind of brought that to our attention for maybe that reason. Was like maybe something foreshadowing happening to Lucian's hair.
Mm-hmm. Either you're going to cut it to get loose, or they're going to cut it to stop.
They're going to cut it to keep her from getting out.
Yeah.
Well, they don't know how we got out. Unless, Lucifer watched us. Which, is entirely possible, but, highly improbable. He might have been busy.
Really?
Well, I mean, he might have been busy.
Yeah.
What's he gonna do? Just sit there and do nothing and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna use my special eye to watch them escape.
Yeah.
And what, say nothing?
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
None of his actions make any sense. I mean, he's acting stupid on being, reckless, because you're probably for your sake.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know what that's gonna lead to. I don't like to think about it, to be honest.
Kill Lucian, you're gonna be sad.
There's a lot going on there, and speaking of Lucifer, when we did finally escape Mercurial, Gil made a very interesting decision on on his watch.
Oh yeah.
It's no worse.
I'm listening.
Okay, so remember last night when this Gil's like, everything's always about you. What is that you said earlier? Gil's going to offer his hearing. What about my?
What does that have to do with your decision?
It's always about you.
Yes, but we're talking
Gil
about
did
Gil
something for
now.
himself.
We're talking about Gil now, sweetheart.
He's allowed to do something for himself.
Okay, so you're telling me going back into the city in which we escaped to go spy, or what even was the plan there?
To be honest, the plan was to go back to Colombs and raid it for magical weapons and gear. Because it was all over the place. And according to everything that he had figured out, the Scar Concord had left.
And you didn't stop to think, maybe if the Scar Concord has left, maybe they have left too.
Yes, but he didn't have enough time to pack.
He was packing. Well, I guess you could argue Gil wouldn't know this because Lucian was the one seeing Kaloum packing.
Exactly.
It still doesn't make up for what he did. Because after realizing that the general was there with Kaloum, he realized, oh shit, you know who else might be here? A certain evil twin.
And notice, when he left, he took a very roundabout way to get back to the camp.
And then told Lucian, oh, guess what? Your brother might be following now.
Because it was a distinct possibility.
Yeah.
But Gil went out of his way to try to get him off his tracks.
You're making a huge fucking mistake.
Lucian wouldn't have been any better.
She wouldn't go back. Okay, listen. She would not. She would not have gone back into that city.
If she thought her brother or something like that, if there was valuable information, she would have done it.
What kind of information? Like, no, Lucifer in trouble? Yeah, that's not. She knows that one, Lucifer can handle himself. And two, she wouldn't risk herself or the party just off of the chance that Lucifer might be in trouble.
Yeah, she would.
No, she wouldn't.
She would.
What?
If you're being honest, she would.
Yeah,
I'm pretty confident.
You have said multiple times that you will do anything for your brother. So which one is
it?
Yeah.
I just have full confidence that Lucian would not have done the same as Gil in that instance, because one, she was covering for your ass and making sure that, you know, our party doesn't get killed in the middle of the night. And two, you know, ripping Gil a new one when he comes back after, you know, going back into a crazed city that's under siege. All for what? The possibility of magical weapons? You didn't even know if there were any left.
That's why you had to go look.
I think you're
it could
missing
have benefited the party who lost everything.
You are missing the point. We already had literal pockets full of money.
But no gear.
We were gonna buy gear in the next town. We were heading to Sundragon.
And what were we gonna do during that trip to the next town? Huh?
We found a town. We didn't get any like fights or anything.
But we got ambushed.
Yeah, that actually is a good segue into the next episode, which is An Ocean Away. We got ambushed by good guys.
But we didn't know that at first.
I get
we got
the problem is if the situation had been different, like Gil's mentioning, oh, if we got ambushed by bad guys, we would have what, Gil?
Lucian still had her hair braided,
Yeah, which is,
but she had not slept, so she had 0 spells, except for cantrips.
Yeah. So we have Gil and 2 magic people. That was it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I
Versus-
think it's
versus-
lucky that we got ambushed by, Ocean and his people.
Yeah, but if it was like if Gil managed to find magical gear and we were ambushed by, bad guys, then it would have been like a good thing. It would have.
I can see where you're coming from, but I also, Matt being the good DM that he is, I don't think that he would have put us in that situation where it would have been completely impossible for us to like get out of that situation. I don't think that he would have done that to us.
Well, I mean, he could still put us into a situation where it's like obviously unfair for like essentially the team, they are probably gonna win if we don't run. It was kind of like you could have easily like, oh hey, there's a route where you could go to leave or something, but like
Well, let's
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was completely lucky that we got, you're breaking up, honey.
What?
I don't think they were. I don't think your actions were justified. I don't think that at all. Amanda doesn't think that either.
I can barely hear Gil.
You're not being heard, honey.
Well, I've never, for most of the time I have not been hearing Gil on Gil's mic. I've been hearing Gil on your mic.
Yeah, he and I are sharing a mic, but right now he went to go do something. So you're not being heard on your mic, sweetheart.
But
and I was just saying that's why Gil's a barbarian. He doesn't have to make sense all the time, but he still did it for the good of the party, not
that
just
doesn't
himself.
give you that being a barbarian does not give you rights to do idiotic bullshit all the time. Like,
yes, it does.
No, it
doesn't. I mean,
have you ever met a smart barbarian?
Yes, actually,
possibility.
I've played a smart barbarian.
Well, yeah, it's just the trope is obviously barbarians are raging buffoons and all that, but
I understand the trope, and I am happy that Jeremy makes very idiotic decisions because one of these days we're just gonna go online one day and just see the best of worst Gil. I look forward to that day.
Gil, I mean,
the best of worst Gil.
Where
I'm not saying that's going to be the title, but that should be the title.
Yeah, where Gil one time tries to pay for something for some action, and one time somehow wasn't even trying to pay for it, and got some action.
Let's talk about the city that we went to in the next episode, A Notion Away. First thing we did was go to the bathhouse, which Jeremy was super excited about because he got to see naked Lucian.
Yes.
He never shuts up about it.
No. Never.
Except for to go lay down.
Yeah. Okay, I know that Zephyr didn't like Ocean. Could you maybe go into a little bit of that?
Didn't like Ocean. It was more like it's less that he didn't like him. Obviously, he definitely seemed like a look how cool I am. I'm obviously the best type of person, which obviously is still, like, oh, cool. Definitely, you're definitely gonna be like, if I have to kill you, sure. But it was more less that he didn't like him, more he didn't trust him. He did
Mhm.
he did not trust him at all.
There a reason?
It, he just he just seemed kind of suspicious. Like a lot of his actions were like just very suspicious. Just like, oh, he had money just to flaunt around like it was nothing, and he like would convince people to do things that just like, and I just didn't. For some reason, Zephyr did not trust him. He just made Zephyr uneasy, I guess you could say.
It wasn't the fact that Lucian liked him.
No, I mean, who you like is none of Zephyr's concern. Not like, oh, I like my sister. Like, I'm gonna start hating my sister.
No, she loves Summer. She's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, Summer's great.
Not like,
Yeah, that's why you didn't like it. Because you liked it.
Okay, but it was like meeting her like okay, it's like you read Beauty and the Beast and you get to meet Belle, and it's like reading a childhood story of like a folk hero and meeting said folk hero. Like I kind of wanted to give that vibe, but also she was like running on no sleep. So she was like also kind of like delirious, so like, yeah, there was, a little bit of flirting, but like she wasn't trying to flirt. She was just like being friendly, but it just turned out to be flirting.
It's
you know,
like you always like,
I mean, you
I
could
don't
say
like
you could say flirting is just being extra friendly.
It is. It is. As a Libra, I can, definitely attest to that. I am very flirtatious as a person. I will flirt with anything that moves. But, that's just me. And here's Lucian, who's just like, I'm better than everybody, and then meets like this amazing folk hero, out of the blue. And she's just like, yeah, this is great.
not helping his case.
Well, also, I think he really liked Caro.
Yeah, as a fellow ranger or something like that.
Yeah, like he really liked Caro, which was like a little weird.
A little weird.
It was a little weird. Like, it was a little weird.
What was weird about it? That he didn't like you?
No, that didn't bother me. It didn't bother Lucian either. What bothered me was like it kind of felt like he was going out of his way to like talk to Caro.
Okay.
Like
some frog action.
okay, maybe yeah, he wanted some frog action. I don't know. That's like not really my business, I did find it interesting that he got really serious when we went to Fort Helianthus in the next episode, which we're going to kind of touch on since we're already talking about Ocean and being in that town. I found it interesting that when Lucian revealed everybody who was involved with the Scar Concord and Mercurial's demise, that he had been the most serious that she had ever seen him in this short time of knowing him. Like, he seemed like a party guy, a fun guy, like a joking guy, and then he just became 100% serious, which, I mean, yeah, it's a serious situation, but like it kind of felt like I don't know. Felt weird.
Honestly, I think he hides behind his humor. And then when it got to that point, it's like, I can't hide anymore. It's gotta be serious.
Also, that thing with the lieutenant was weird. Because like Matt was like, oh yeah, he's like super snotty. He's like his eyes are bloodshot, and like right then, I feel like everybody in the entire group was like, oh no, not again, you know.
It would have been
Yeah, but he was coughing blood.
Yeah.
Right. But I kind of feel like it was a, like I said, a oh no, not again situation. But Lucian being Lucian, she,
Couldn't leave alone.
well, that, and
Yeah.
she was like, he probably has consumption or something wrong with him, that it's not this ichor blood thing going on, but
Yeah, that's probably someone else who looks fine.
at this point, I would not be surprised.
Every little group has a bit of ichor beast.
Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised. Well, maybe I would be surprised. I don't know.
Be an easy
but
test. Just be like, hey, let me see your hand. Cut.
yeah, like we had the burial for Lorcan, which yes, I did steal your ID. I'm sorry. But I kind of felt like it felt more genuine for Lucian to bring it up.
More genuine.
I did. Don't look at me like that. I did think it was more genuine.
She's a fucking cleric.
Well, not that, just that, but because it was literally her fault.
But who was the one that actually thought about getting the bones?
I'm not saying that wasn't a bad idea. I'm just saying that, yeah, it was like, I feel like maybe it was more of a group effort. Like, I don't know. Can we tag team this shit? Yeah.
Sure about that. But,
yeah, just seems like we have more questions than we have answers at this point, at least for these episodes.
Yeah.
I guess I will turn it over to, do we have anybody wanting any questions in the audience?
No.
The audience.
Wait, what?
No.
No. I'll just cry some tears.
Yeah.
These are actual tears.
Wow.
It's okay. Anything that you guys want to ask or bring up?
Yeah, just goes to show that Lucy and gotta get us killed.
That she's completely justified.
Or to be more precise, the elves are gonna get us killed.
If not Lucian, definitely Gil.
It's
Gil gets self-killed.
The elves are gonna get us killed by other elves.
I think what needs to happen is Lucian needs to realize, A, she is not always right, and B, that she is not always in the right.
Yeah.
Just because she thinks it's the right thing to do doesn't mean that it necessarily is the right thing to do. Like with Lorcan.
Or the slaves. Or like the captive.
What?
Later on.
Yeah.
Oh.
Later on. In general, just look, there's a problem. Let's just see what we can do about it. Like
that's just the kind of person Lucian is. She just can't leave. She can't leave it alone. She's just not that type of person. She sees a problem and she wants to resolve it.
Yeah, like the conversation we had conversation you and mostly Caleb had yesterday, just walk away. Like, but what if we can't? Like, then we don't put ourselves in this situation. Like, Boom.
The thing about Lucian, the thing I think is the difference between the Tebadrons and Lucian is that with Lucian, everything is black or white. There's no gray area for her. Like, everything is either black or white, no gray area. But for the Tebadrons, there's like tons of gray area. There's like 20,000 shades of gray for the Tebadron.
Yeah.
You know?
There's...
And I think that's the biggest issue we're going to come up as a team, because Lucian's like, no, there's either right or there's wrong. There's no in between. And I think that's you know,
major boys would be like, well, we have a job and there's a job and that's all we have to worry about. Nothing else.
And Lucian's like, no, that's not true. There's like 1,000 things to worry about right now. But yeah. Hopefully next week we can go into the next episodes, which would be the shopping episode, episode 25 and 26.
Get some potions then.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll talk about
what you still have, right?
You still have those potions.
I have the one strapped to my leg. I have the super potions I bought, and I have the ones that I stole from the underground camp.
Can I ask, did Zephyr just buy those so he didn't have to like ask Lucian to heal him?
It was more like it's a lot of thought process to it, because like, first off, yeah, he didn't want to rely on your magic, because first off, you have complained several times that you run out of magic and all that, so it's like, oh, you don't want to waste your magic. I'm just like, okay, I mean, just grab potions, so we're not in a situation where Lucian's out of magic and someone's dying or I'm dying and nothing can be done about it. And then it was just like, yeah, potions are nice. They keep me safe if I need to. Though I probably shouldn't have bought, the strongest potion there was, because I think even now my HP does not go to how much HP it can restore.
Do you think if Zephyr had the chance, would he heal somebody else in the party?
I mean, we shall see when that chance arises.
Well, is that not a chance, but more of
opportunity?
The issue of having to pick. Keep it from me later, or save my ass by getting him back up on his feet.
We shall see when the occasion arrives.
Well, it might be showing up soon.
Maybe.
Yeah, that all depends on what happens in our next couple episodes. Live on Tuesdays at twitch.oddtornado productions, Tuesday evenings at 9:30 CST. Or you can catch us on wherever you get your podcasts, whether that be Google, iTunes, Pandora, wherever. You can also catch these episodes on our YouTube channel. And, maybe give us a like and a subscribe, because that would really help us out. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great week.
Mm-hmm.